Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boom Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host Terry, and today going to do a quick recap, or at least a reaction, I guess, to last night's loss against the Houston Texans. Before we get started, please subscribe, please like, it helps grow the channel. Again, about the smaller community of Better Bears fans, but I'm always trying to grow the channel. So all that helps. Go to the description for links to other videos. That way you don't gotta scramble around. And I have to say, this is going to be the best Bears content you get. Football wise, this is going to be the best Bears content you get, and I stand by that. This is for Better Bears fans. This is not for the cheerleaders. This is not for the people that want to come vent and just hear somebody say all the things they're thinking. This is not for me to pat you on the back and say it's going to be all right. This talk about football. This is not for me to say, oh, this team sucks just because we're playing them. Oh, the refs cheated. That's not what this is. We talk football. We get to the film and we talk actual football. And so obviously, if you've been around, that's what you're into. If you're new and that doesn't sound like a cup of tea, that's all good. But if you want to be a better Bears fan, which means you're a better football fan, this is the place to be, hands down. All right, so I'm going to be quick because I'm be following up with some film tonight, trying to do 2 sessions and get those out. So defense, there's not a lot to talk about. The defense. It's been the same for years, and I'm not one of those people that really subscribe to talking heads when they say an organization is an organization. It doesn't matter who's the coach and all that. And like, to me, that's silly. Yes, there's trends, but obviously the people in there matter. But it is true when you look at it and just say some organizations, man, they really, like I said, they had that same trend for a long time. And that's how I feel about us on defense. Good against the run, D-line, very disruptive. Against the pass, 1 pass rusher or no pass rushers, but that's about it. And secondary play top down, not very good playing the ball down the field. And that's just kind of who we are. And that's who we continue to be. Very active to the ball. Like, I hear people say that they should have got Joe Mixon more involved in all that. And one of the many issues with our football discourse today is that people always want to blame the team. They want to blame the coach, the O-line, somebody on the team. And they never give credit to the opponent. Like, that is a huge missing part of the mindset when we're talking about football. So I had all these people, or I hear these people talking about Joe Mixon. Now, I told my friend prior to the game, and I bet on it, I'm taking Joe Mixon on the under. I'm like, we're a great run stopping team. Like, oh, Joe Mixon did this last week. He wasn't playing us last week. Now, don't get me wrong, the Colts aren't a bad run defense either. I haven't seen them this year, but they're largely the same team. They're not bad. But look, Mixon, who he is, Texans, who they are, what they did last year, and plus who we are when we have 10 of 11 starters coming back. I'm pretty sure I know what we're going to get. So the idea that they didn't get him involved because he wasn't going nowhere, just like I'm going to talk about with us. People are saying, and I see it in the comments, why is Caleb throwing so much? Because we couldn't run the ball. Sometimes the defense or the other opponent does what they're supposed to do. Sometimes the opponent wins, and people need to just realize that. So anyway, defense they are who we thought they were. Offense. And again, I'm going to repeat some things from the community. So if you follow the community, I talk a lot about the stuff there, and then we'll talk about this in film. But my large takeaways. This is on everybody. And again, it's starting to sound like a repeat broken record at this point, but this is on everybody, which it typically is. I mean, if you want to get down to a single play, then yeah, maybe more times than not, you could point out 1 or 2 people. But when you're talking about big level trends, it's usually multiple things. So And again, this is literally the same conversation I had last year with Justin Fields, where everybody's trying to blame Getsy. No, I want to blame Fields. Same thing with Nagy. Oh, I want to blame Nagy. No, I want to blame Fields. No, I want to blame Trubisky. No, I want to blame Fields. No, I want to blame the O-line. No, I want to blame this. And it's the same thing I said before. It's everybody. Now, I will say with this particular game and this season so far, it is the worst version of it's everybody as it's been. And last night was just kind of a perfect storm. So number one, the offensive line didn't play well. We'll look at them actually on film twice tonight in the run-in pass game. They're not playing well, and that includes Tevin Jenkins, who I said is all-pro caliber guard when healthy. And to be honest, in the last few years, she showed that when healthy. So far this year, I mean, I wouldn't say completely different player, but just really not playing well. Like, he's whiffing too much, losing too many one-on-ones, having too many mistakes. Darnell Wright, again, a lot of talk about last year, how well he did. And I never, over the summer, that's on me. I said I was going to get to the summer and watch the tape and see what people were seeing. Never did. But I know what I saw on tape last year, and it wasn't good. And what I'm seeing so far from Darnell Wright isn't good. Now, I was a big fan of Darnell Wright, but I said this last year, and I said this coming out. He's got to clean up some stuff. You got to get better. And again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about that. I've talked about it before in the draft. Hopefully everybody understands that. This ain't Madden. You don't have an overall. You don't get XP points. You don't have a good game and boost your overall. That's not how this works. You got to get better at your craft. And Darnell did not get better coming out from college to the rookie year, which obviously a short turnaround. But from year one to year two, you had a full professional offseason. He hasn't gotten any better. To be honest, he looks worse. And he's missing assignments too. Braxton is who he is. Very low ceiling player, but good floor. And he's had trouble anchoring in college. He's had trouble anchoring in the NFL, and that hasn't changed. He gets bullied by strong guys. Shelton, terrible last week. Better this week, complete liability. And I don't know that I've watched this before. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know if I've ever really watched this before, how a center can make the entire team look bad. Obviously, when you whiff on a pass pro one-on-one and it goes straight to the quarterback, we know that. But I'm talking about in all phases of the game, his lack of play strength and balance is messing up the O-line. Now, everybody else is messing up too, but yeah, Nate Davis playing bad, not bringing the power that we needed. Just overall, very bad O-line play. What's his name? Shane Waldron. Not a good play calling. And again, you know how I am if you listen to me before. When it comes to play calling, I'm very sensitive about other people talking about it because they don't know what they're talking about. And every single time I hear play call was terrible, Getsy's horrible, I always ask the same thing. What was the play? They have no clue what the play is. You have no clue what the play was supposed to be. You have no clue if it was 3 calls and the quarterback picked one. You have no clue if it was originally this and the quarterback canceled this. You have no clue if they called this and then they audible. So that's why I get into that. And then, of course, you got, so I would say more so play selection, play call in terms, run, pass, and all that. So it's a lot that goes into it. So I get sensitive about that. But what I will say last night, that throughout the 4 quarters, there's no discussion. Very repetitive in certain areas and terrible adjustments. That's just plain and simple. Terrible adjustments. Anybody that knows a little bit about football, then, well, not a little bit, but a little bit, about the technical part of football. You watch the game. The Texans were in single high almost all game. So from single high, you're doing a couple things, especially if you're not rotating. Cover 3, man free. That's really what all they played. So you have an extra guy in the box with Petrie, And so we got a stack box. They're press man free or they're cover 3 bail. Either way, single high. You should know how to play that. Now, I've talked with NFL guys and college guys that play call all that. None that are currently calling plays in the NFL now. It's been a youth movement. So I recognize that. Obviously, I never did it in the league. I'm not saying I'm, the guy to know, but I have called plays on the high school level. Again, I have talked with guys. I've seen call sheets, and I'm sure many of you have. You could Google it. It's not hard to find. So I know for a fact, every team, you have your whatever it is, the way you want to lay out top 5 plays, top red zone plays, white zone plays, cover 3 beaters, man beaters, cover 2 beaters, blitz counters. You got all types of stuff, favorite third and short. You see those people, those giant sheets, that's what's all on there. So I know for a fact, I'm not saying nothing groundbreaking. You should know, okay, this is what they're playing after a quarter, especially after a half. Now, what can we do to attack this? And the stuff we ran was playing directly into what the Texans defense was running. So this hitch combo, which I'll show on film, I absolutely hate all variations of it. I hated it since Nagy brought it in our first. And again, it wasn't just him. The league runs it all around. I hate it. And I get you trying to get it to playmakers in space, but I don't like the spacing of it. I don't like the setup of it. And when you're playing press man coverage, you definitely don't want to run a hitch concept. So either way, you got a cover 3 shell. You want to run horizontal. Now, I want to run horizontal always. And again, if you've been listening to me, you've heard me say this many times. What the Vikings do, I love. Those type of systems, the Rams, a whole lot of horizontal. And honestly, like Xavier Worthy, it's kind of random, but when people talk about him and the corners told you, yeah, you run straight, it ain't hard to defend. We saw what happened to him. It's when you do the reverses, it's when you do the crossers, that's when it becomes hard. I mean, look at Sauce Gardner. If you watch him against the Titans, Calvin Ridley cooked us too, and he's a great route runner, but man, Sauce is one of the most leanest, fastest guys. He can't do nothing on no deep crosser against Calvin Ridley in man coverage. Justin Jefferson eats on crossers. And so it's just a lot of horizontal concepts that I think are easier for the quarterback to see and effective. But especially last night, that doesn't mean one guy on a deep crosser, because obviously we have to get the ball out fast. So some people will say, yeah, the hitches make sense. Yeah, you want to get the ball out fast, but there's ways to get the ball out fast that aren't just running hitches. So I just feel like there was no adjustment all game. And I made sure to watch all the pass plays throughout the game. No adjustments. We run a lot of screens, which that's more of a Caleb thing. I'm all kind of Waldron too, but we run a lot of screens, and I'm not mad at them, and I'm not even mad the way they are set up, but we don't have good timing with it. And just overall, I know again people gonna be mad we threw the ball. We ran the ball, and then we didn't do it well, and that's why we kept passing. And yes, we got away from the run last week too, so people say that's kind of a trend. And fine, if you want to go run versus pass, that's cool. But I just did not like the adjustment, because Texans were doing the same thing all play or all game. They're playing it the same way, especially when they blitz. It was man free every time. Press man free. And so I don't understand why we couldn't get some man beaters on that. And then Caleb Williams, of course. Look, there's a lot to talk about Caleb, always will be. I think for me, Caleb, in a nutshell, Caleb is just not, he doesn't have the football IQ that I hoped he would. As I mentioned in the community, That's part of the process we don't get to see in the draft. And I say it every year, and I learned from my own mistakes that there's only so much you can get from this side, whether you're in the media or not, or just sitting at home. Until you're in there with them to know the player, that's going to tell you. So I think through Hard Knocks and kind of other stuff, we kind of gather what type of person he is. And yes, he absolutely wants to get better and will do the things necessary to get better. So we learn that, but we don't learn how he's processing. We don't learn how he's seeing things. Like, we know people ask questions, especially to media people. They can't really tell you much. The true answer is I would have to sit down with him and ask, okay, what'd you see there? What were you thinking? Why'd you do that? And then go through his process. We the only people that get to do that as the team. So from this off season, I would have hoped, and I think a lot of people who were fans of him would have hoped, hey, he understands that USC was USC. That was college. That was a, bad roster. He had to play that way. I understand the NFL, I'm going to have to do it differently. But he ends up like a lot of players, to 99% of the players that get into the NFL still thinking they can do what they did in college. And when things get tough at quarterback or any position, but quarterback especially, people revert to what they had success with. It's the same thing I talk about with Justin Fields. Justin Fields didn't do any running really in college, but when he got to the NFL, that didn't work. He found success with running. He kept running. Caleb knows he has success being Magic Man. That's what he reverted to. And we'll see the plays. There's a number of plays you could have just threw it away, live to fight another day, make a better decision. But he was big play hunting. So a lot of people, I'm sure, would be like, I told you over the summer. I told you. And my thing is, and it hasn't changed, that just because you did it in college doesn't mean that's what you're going to do automatically. There's plenty of examples of players that were able to shift their mindset, and we're only talking about 2 games, but still there's plenty of examples. And so my whole thing, and it'll always be the same, you telling me that Caleb is going to play this way because he played that way in college, I'm never going to agree with that, because it's never 100% true. And again, we're not in the room, we don't know. So I think me and a lot of people were just hoping for the best, hoping that this team could teach and coach and get him to on schedule, to a balance of on schedule and making plays when he has to. But look, that took Mahomes years to get to. And to be honest, we see right now Mahomes still, not every week he gonna be great at it. So that's a very high level. That's hard to do. And it's only been 2 games, but he is most definitely playing bad. It's bad footwork, which is affecting his accuracy. He's throwing with no touch. Even it was one screen to DeAndre Swift, might have been the first one, that Swift ended up dropping because Caleb just bulleted it, and there was no one around Swift. All he had to do was give him a soft little lob. We would have got some yards. He bulleted it, and then so many times he throw it hard with no touch. He, again, not setting his feet, throwing off his back foot, bad accuracy, bad decision making, trying to big play hunt. And so it is a combination from hell of all things not going well. Doesn't mean it's over, but that's what I'm seeing so far. Now, how he absorbs all this and adjusts, that's going to tell us if he's going to be somebody that flames out or needs another team to, get better, or if he's going to be able to take that next leap. So those are my thoughts right now. Go to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and check back later for some film sessions. And remember, stay up and bear down.